A group of outlaws threatened to kill a widow, but they were shocked when she revealed that she was able to outdraw their fastest gunslinger. Martha Bibby lived alone in a small cabin. She had recently lost her husband, Billy Bob, who was killed in a robbery gone wrong. But Martha didn't live in fear. She knew that if she did, the outlaws would have taken her life already. So she kept busy, mostly by playing dominoes by herself and tending to her garden. The threat of death was always present at the back of her mind, but it was never something that really bothered her. She had to ace up her sleeves. First, she was an excellent cook and would often leave meals outside for the outlaws. If they showed up, they would eat and then leave without causing any trouble. This happened on several occasions, which made Martha feel like the outlaws respected her. They weren't violent people. They just needed food and shelter sometimes. And Martha understood that because her husband was an outlaw too. Second, Martha had a secret. She was an even better shot than her husband. She could draw her pistol faster than anyone she'd ever seen. She wasn't sure how fast she was, but she was pretty confident no one could beat her. And this skill was actually what had brought her and her husband together. He was the first man she ever shot at. They met at a shooting competition. He was the reigning champion, and she wanted to take his title. Martha won, but Billy Bob won her heart. One day, Martha was working in her garden when she heard gunshots in the distance. She paused, hoping it wasn't anything bad. But then she saw 4 men riding towards her cabin. They were the same men who had been terrorizing the countryside for months. Her husband had been killed in a shootout with them, when he tried to stop them from robbing a stagecoach. Martha knew what was coming, so she went inside to get ready. When the men arrived, they tied up Martha and brought her outside. The leader of the group, Brick, was a big, burly man with a handlebar mustache. He looked around the yard for a moment. "So this is the widow Bibby," he said, nodding to his men. "Heard a lot about you." He turned back to Martha and smiled, revealing a gold tooth. "We're going to make this quick and painless, lady. Hand over the loot your husband stashed here, and we won't hurt you." Martha shrugged. "I don't know what you're talking about." "We both know you're hiding something, Martha," Brick said, "and we know where your husband hid it too. Give it up and maybe we'll be merciful." "You're welcome to look around," Martha said, still pretending to be innocent. Brick gave her a hard shove. "Don't play coy with us, lady. We don't have much patience." He motioned to his men to start searching the property, but before they could go anywhere, Martha spoke up. "If you want my secret stash so bad, why don't you just shoot me?" she said. "Kill me and take whatever you want. It's all the same to me." Brick stared at her for a moment, surprised by her sudden outburst. Wasn't expecting her to be so defiant. "You got guts, lady, I'll give you that. But you're still going to lead us to the money." He pushed her to the ground and started digging through her flower bed. Martha watched him with a sad smile on her face. She knew where he was going to find the hidden money. It was buried in the corner of the yard under a loose floorboard. But she also knew there was no way he or any of his men would find it. She didn't tell them because it was a secret she and her husband shared. Brick suddenly stood up with a yell. "Got it," he shouted. He pulled the floorboard from its hinges and revealed a small wooden box. He opened it and saw the contents. It was full of old clothes. Martha couldn't hold back her laughter. She was amused by the whole situation. These men had traveled for weeks to find her, and she outsmarted them easily. Brick's face turned red with anger. He slammed the box on the ground and advanced toward Martha. "I'm gonna kill you," he growled. Martha stood up and faced him. She wasn't afraid of him anymore. She had played too many dominoes by herself. She was bored with living in fear. "Go ahead," she said, "if that's what you want." Brick hesitated for a moment. He was unsure if he should kill her right then and there or take her with them so they could torture her later. But then he saw something in Martha's eyes. It was confidence. She wasn't scared of him at all. "What's on your mind, lady?" he asked. "I want to see if you can draw your pistol as fast as I can," Martha said. Brick was taken aback by her response. Wasn't expecting her to be so level-headed, but he liked it. He enjoyed a good challenge, and this was one he couldn't pass up. "You want a gunfight, lady? You got one," he said. He drew his pistol and pointed it at her. Martha took a step back and reached for her own weapon. She was a little rusty, but she knew she could handle herself. She drew her gun and fired 3 shots in quick succession. Brick was stunned. He hadn't seen her draw, but he could hear the bullets whizzing past him. He ducked to take cover. "That was fast," he said, "but not fast enough." He returned fire, but Martha was already moving. She dodged the bullets and fired back. The 2 men stood toe-to-toe, blasting away at each other. The air was filled with the smell of gunpowder and the sound of gunfire. It was a showdown Martha had been waiting for, a chance to show off the skill that had brought her fame in her younger years. But it was over quickly. Brick was a good shot, but he was no match for Martha. She was faster and more accurate. She hit him 3 times, once in the shoulder, once in the leg, and once in the chest. He fell to his knees and gasped for breath. I can't, he stammered. Martha lowered her gun. It's over, she said. Brick slumped to the ground and closed his eyes. His men were dead. They'd tried to run, but Martha's bullets had caught up with them. One was dead where he stood, the other 2 in the nearby trees. Martha felt a sense of relief wash over her. Finally, she could live in peace. But as she turned to go back inside, she heard a voice. Well, now that's just rude, said a man with a cowboy hat and a twirly mustache. Can't a fella even rob a cabin in peace these days? Martha turned and saw the man standing in front of her, holding a gun. He was pointing it at her and smiling. You wouldn't happen to have seen anything, would ya? He asked. Some masked hombre just blew away my boys, and I reckon he must have taken the money with him. Martha shook her head. Sorry, stranger, but I haven't seen anyone. The man frowned. Are you sure? 'Cause I'm thinking you might have seen me. Nope, Martha said. The man took a step closer. Suit yourself. He reached into his holster to grab his 6-shooter. Martha reacted instantly. She whipped out her gun and fired. The man stumbled backward, clutching his chest. I didn't mean, he stammered, but he didn't get the chance to finish his sentence. He crumpled to the ground and stared up at the sky. Martha holstered her gun and sighed. She was done with outlaws and their nonsense. She turned and walked back to her cabin, leaving the dead men where they lay.